So why is this channel and this show called Enjoy? What is the meaning of life? What's the nature of nature? How can we define God? And what is happening now? Well, viewer, observer, you are in luck because the answer to all of those questions are forthcoming in your near future if you just stay tuned. Well, I thought I would give an overview of the essence of my understanding of nature just to give dimension to any other topics that might be covered in this show, which you will experience a variety of topics in your show and in this show. And that's basically what nature is. It's a show. It's a show for nature itself, which is aware and perceiving through you. You are nature. Nature really is synonymous with God. It's synonymous with the Tao, which is a tricky pronunciation because it looks like Tao, right? T-A-W, Tao. It's actually Tao. They're trying to trick you. Maybe there's a lesson there that has been lost in translation. But if they wanted, a more accessible religion, I think they should just, why is that a T if it's Tao? Why wouldn't they just put a D, right? Anyway, these are tangents, which, we may, it's sort of like the footnote. But let's get back to the main text here. Okay. So nature is synonymous with all of these things, and nature is what we are experiencing now. And so why? And what is it besides a show? And why would it be a show? And who is it a show for? Well, it's a show for you, for one. This is a show for you. It's a show for me, and it's a show for God. And, some people have a real aversion to certain words. And that is because they're making the most fundamental mistake, which is really a mistake that a certain percentage, I think of, not to be negative, but it seems like a certain percentage of the population, the conscious population of any, society, I suppose, or world society, there's going to be a whole spectrum of intelligence and awareness. So within that, a high percentage, probably the majority, the vast majority, get caught up in I think what is the most fundamental mistake that humans can make, which is to attach yourself to language, to certain words, and make that word, friends, I'm going to have to cut it. So you see language going like all forms, like you yourself are actually a technology, a dream of nature. It's amusing itself through these different forms and dimensions. And why? Well, we should all be grateful because we cannot be separate from the source. So we are that source, and we are dreaming all of this for our learning, for our amusement. If you're timeless and you're boundless and you know everything, how are you going to learn? How are you going to experience any joy? And of course I'm personifying, but I believe that as, I'm personifying myself in my understanding of nature as nature. But I believe that I'm not a person, right? That's just another word. all words are actually limits. So we can use them to navigate. They're maps. As Buckminster Fuller said, the map is not the territory. And we, through the form of language, map our reality. The mistake people make is believing the map is the territory and attaching their identity to a certain word, whether that be human, person, nature, God. Am I form? Am I formless? Am I time? Am I timeless? It's all of the above. So why would nature want to put on a show? Well, if you're timeless and you're boundless, how do you learn? If you know everything, how do you learn? If you're all-powerful, how can you experience any drama? How can you have any fun? As we create in nature's image movies with all sorts of qualities and dramas, and often the hero's journey, classic hero's journey, as elucidated by Joseph Campbell. I'd highly recommend his work. There's the beginning, usually in the hero's journey, where everything is terrific, and then something happens. If you're all powerful and you're all being nature with no time, nothing ain't gonna happen, it's just, there's gonna be no drama. But in the hero's journey, as nature dreams itself into different dimensions, perhaps all these different dimensions, if it's a fly, an ant, a whale, experiences the journey. And through this journey, we learn. And the journey archetypically, everything's good. Even if I just want to pick up this rattle. Let's have a hero's journey with this rattle here. I have the idea, I want to pick up the rattle. Seems like a good idea. Same as if I have an idea I want to leave my house. Same as if I have an idea I want to sail across the ocean and discover a new continent, or go into space and discover an unknown world or something. It all starts with the idea, and everything starts with imagination. And everything at that point is wonderful. Then you gotta do it. Then the drama comes in. Or in the classic hero's journey, everything is wonderful. People are living their life. Sun's out. Often in movies, even the cinematography, the colors will change. At the beginning and the end of the movie, everything's bright. In the middle, it's dark, So everything is bright at the beginning, sunshiny day. Then something happens. The aliens land. You got to pick up the rattle. These are, obviously, fighting an alien invasion and picking up a rattle are different levels of drama. But still, there's a subtle level of exertion if I'm being completely slothful. Although there's a joy in movement, I think it does also exude energy. So then I've got to pick up the rattle, or I've got to fight off the alien invasion, or Luke Skywalker's got to, at first in the one of the most classic examples of the hero's journey being followed almost by the book is Star Wars. And I believe George Lucas was a fan of Joseph Campbell. And perhaps, I believe, even actually acquaintances and corresponded together. Maybe best friends, I don't know, someone tell me. In any case, so yes, everything's wonderful for Luke Skywalker. I have the idea to pick up the rattle or write my life story or do anything, right? Then you've got to do it. Then the aliens come, then the force, and then there's the perseverance, the fighting in the movies often, or the solving of the mystery, you know. And through that stage, often learning comes. The experience is the whole thing, and in retrospect, usually you learn from the whole. You're always learning, but a different type of lesson. The main lesson comes in that third stage, the fighting back. The Luke Skywalker, beating Darth Vader or whatever. I think that didn't happen until like the third movie, but in any case. And at the end, you come back to the tribe. I'm really mix and matching a lot of different kind of metaphorical explanations of experience here. And another one, which I'm referencing right then, is the shamanic experience, where you go off into a different reality. And then you have all the stages of the hero's journey, then too, I would suppose, if you're considering shaman a hero, and in a sense they are. And you gain that information and you bring it back to the tribe. So you have your movie, and then at the end of the movie, you've learned your lesson, and we're ready for the sequel if it made a lot of money. Or if the budget was low, and then they made a good profit. In any case. Or you pick up your rattle. You did what you wanted to do. You made your video. You did any action. And to add another level of sophistication to this theory, it actually also correlates to the 4 stages of, I'm going to have to put in the comments, I believe it's Stanislav Grof's actual theory. He has 4 stages of birth imprinting, which he believes you kind of mirror these qualities that you imprint at this early stage of vulnerability throughout your life. So also referencing a theory here where of imprinting. So there are different moments in your life of imprint vulnerability, and then generally the earlier the imprint, the more profound the effect on your nature. So nature is nature versus nurture, right? Genetics and experience. But the experience part starts a lot earlier than you may, believe or generally take into account. It's not when you're born, but as you gestate, as you grow in the womb, you're experiencing life. And, the general theory is that that is a good time for your life. Everything is taken care of. It's warm. Often we want to get back into the womb. We curl into a fetal position often when we're going to sleep. It's highly recommended, at least. I like to actually do that and then straighten my back and breathe. But the fetal position, child's pose in yoga, is very calming and soothing. We like to be warm. We like to be in covers. And when you're in the womb, everything is, perfect temperature. You don't have to worry about food. Not only, do you get to be with your mother, you're actually surrounded by your mother. So in a lot of sense, we're often wanting to go back to this feeling of just womb ecstasy. And then, like in the hero's journey, it all turns. Everything you've ever known is trying to push you out. It's as if the walls of, this room just started caving in and just trying to push me somewhere into a new dimension. And I don't know where, and I don't know much. I don't even have language, which is kind of a good thing in some ways. At least I'm not telling myself a story. about what's going on. I'm just experiencing it viscerally, and I'm being pushed out into this next dimension, right? Then you fight back. Then there's a third act of the movie. You know? Push and pull. You think you're going to die. No, no, I'm not. I'm going to be born. You know? And then release into the new dimension, into the new world, with the knowledge. And you take what you learned from that, you know, extraordinary experience back to the tribe, back to the world of the humans, where you will now grow, you know? And know. Grow and know. So, that is, you know, an action, and the action of time. You know, dreams of all dimensions are happening. And nature is the ultimate being, the ultimate observer. You cannot be separate from the source. Only words are making things seem separate. So, you are the source. You are God. You are the Tao. The kingdom of heaven is inside of you. Politics became, you know, or should I say, religion became politics. Politics became about not empowering, but depowering, especially back in the day. Kings and queens were gods, and people, oh yeah, you know. So Jesus had to become a king, you know, especially after he died. And who knows what was actually going on at that time. That's going to be another podcast. I mean, it was the Middle East, people. It's one area of the world. There was Zeus. There's the doggone religion. You know, yes, the Gutenberg Bible, you know, was big. But if Gutenberg would have published, you know, I don't know, in any case, if the printing press would have been invented in Mali, would we all be worshiping the doggone gods? And, you know, this is another topic, but these shamanic people are on it, man. You know, when you don't have the limitations of belief, of certain beliefs, and you're more in the natural swing of things, you're communing with nature. How did, you know, people know which herbs to take and things like that? They were talking to the plants, and the plants were talking back and giving them correct answers. You know, and if their ego was in the way, if there was a distortion, maybe they were not getting the right answers. But, you know, psychic intuition is really just about getting your ego out of the way and being intuitive. And you're never going to be 100% psychic. You're never going to be 100% intuitive, because the ego is a persistent game. And it's a fun game. We love the ego game. I love the ego game. That's why I'm here. I want to be Jesse. I want to be here. I want to be me. I want to have all this form and all this division. I'm enjoying this dream. So that's why we've come back to the original topic of this talk. Why enjoy? That's why enjoy. Because it's all for you. It's all a game. It's all love. You know? Love and harmony is often the realization of that unity. So, if everything is truly united, then everything, without being all hippy-dippy, it is love. I don't like any hippy-dippy anything, you know? Everything should be grounded in truth. The truth is, everything is love. God loves you. Nature loves you. This is love. You know, there are a lot of lessons to be learned here. But It is ultimately when, at the end of the movie, at the fourth stage, when you're born to your mother, when you're born into this world, it is love. And so with this sort of non-dual realization, you start to relax. You can start to relax right now. And it's always now, so relax. um, it's it's a joy. It's in joy. It's just for fun. All the drama, the same reason people like watching dramas. You know, life is really, though, a comedy. There's all qualities in life. And since there is qualities of comedy, since there is sarcasm and irony and, you know, bizarreness, just surrealness, um, it's funny. It's hilarious, even. You know, when we get too caught up and too attached to things, we start to lose that sometimes. We get attached to certain words, certain ideas, certain forms. You're really formless. You don't really have to worry, I don't think. You know, if you're nature itself, probably your soul, your quality, is going to be taken care of. And here in time is where we have the opportunity to develop that quality that is you. Every quality, every archetype is what truly exists beyond the unity. I mean, there is ultimately no separation, and everything is just, you know, people love to say one thing, and one of the tricks to navigating this world is sympathy. You know, you got to try to just understand what people are saying. You can be a devil's advocate and, you know, advocate for form and separation all you want. But through sympathy and unity and harmony, we actually learn and understand. And so when people say one, you know, I can't help from popping up and saying, one what? One where? If there's one thing, if all of nature and all of the universe is one thing, what is outside that one thing? Where did that one thing come from? You know, the chicken or the egg is the colloquialism. Colloquial expression. I don't know where these words come from sometimes. Where does anything come from, right? So, but sometimes one is, you know, we're limited by the definition of our current technology of language. So sometimes I'm going to use one, even though, even me, myself, just like with the word God and any sort of word, you know, you can always argue against that definition because nature is infinite. But everything's one. So if everything's one and you can't be separate from the source and you're that one thing, what do you got to worry about? You know, it's all just for fun. We're in joy. It's a dream. There are dreams. Dreams can't be separate from the rest of nature, so this is a dream. And when we say things are, you know, we also mean like. We're modeling, right? A dream is like nature. You know, this is like, people like to say this is like a simulation, man. That word was in vogue, I think, 6 months ago. It seems to have gone out a little bit, or maybe I'm just in a different part of Twitter, or the, you know, social media sphere or something. But everything's a simulation, man. Personally, you know, I think it's a little bit of a nihilistic metaphor, it makes it seem a little nefarious. I don't, or is that just my take? I don't know. But yeah, it's like a simulation. It's like a computer. It's like a dream. It's like nothing actually is anything. It's just we're just modeling here. We're just pointing. Words just point towards qualities, but the qualities exist more essentially than the word. God points to a quality, an understanding, a realization. Nature points to a quality, and in my mind, they're very similar qualities, as we've elucidated previously. So that's why.